In Japanese folklore, the Gashadokuro is one of the most recognizable yokai. The word Gashadokuro means hungry skeleton in Japanese. The creature was described as having an insatiable hunger for human flesh. This abomination was a giant skeleton, about 15 times the size of a man, roaming the fields in the darkest hours of the night with rattling teeth and bones. Upon entering a human, he would approach as quietly as possible, despite the creaking of bones. Then, he would take his victim by surprise, crushing him in the hands and devouring his head. Supposedly, the only protection against the Gashadokuro was to listen from a distance to the sound of the bones clinking, fleeing quickly before the creature arrived. Otherwise, the victim's fate would be sealed. The Gashadokuro materialized in the hundreds of bones from the rotting bodies of soldiers on the battlefields, especially the bones and spirits of starvation victims. For this reason, the creature is often associated with famine and death. According to one version of this legend, the origin of the creature happened more than 1,000 years ago in a rebellion against the government led by the samurai Masako. When he was killed in battle, his daughter, Takeyasha Hime, a great sorceress, continued her father's cause. With black magic, he summoned the huge skeleton, Gashadokuro, from the bodies of the dead soldiers to attack the city of Kyoto. Gashadokuro is often associated with the Japanese festival of Oban, in honor of deceased ancestors. During the event, people light lanterns and make offerings to protect their homes from evil spirits, including the Gashadokuro. Ushi-Oni, the bovine demon, is a mythical creature of Japanese folklore found in several locations across the country's west. He had a monstrous demon spider-like body, as well as the hide and head of an ox or cow. His fangs were sharp, with long claws, as well as glowing red eyes that struck fear into the hearts of those who saw them. The Ushi-Oni inhabited regions near water sources. They had a cruel and evil temper. Their powerful roar could be heard from miles away. The Ushi-Oni exuded a toxic poison and devoured human beings. They were extremely aggressive and territorial, attacking anyone who came close to their domain. The Ushi-Oni are an iconic figure in Japanese folklore, representing the dark and terrifying side of supernatural beings. Their appearance and aggressive behavior made them a feared and respected creature. A supernatural creature in Japanese folklore, the Rokurokubi is a kind of yokai. The name means long-necked woman. And yes, Rokurokubis were known to have extremely long necks, being able to stretch them with remarkable lengths. Typically depicted as women, with pale skin and long flowing hair, Rokurokubis looked normal. But at night, their necks reached incredible lengths, allowing them to hunt humans and drink their blood. According to legend, Rokurokubis emerged when a woman told a lie. As a result, the neck started to lengthen uncontrollably. This transformation was considered irreversible, and the Rokurokubi were doomed to live the rest of their lives with abnormally long necks. In Japanese folklore, the legend of the Rokurokubi was often seen as a cautionary tale about the dangers of lying and deception. The Nure is a creature from Japanese folklore possessing a raccoon's body, a monkey's head, a snake's tail, and tiger's limbs. This unique blend of different animals represents the merging of different forces of nature, turning it into a mysterious and fearsome being. This symbolism is firmly rooted in Japanese mythological beliefs and traditions. Legends say that the Nure is a harbinger of misfortune and disaster, spreading disease and sudden death wherever it appears. Its mysterious cries are already a harbinger of disaster. The Nure is associated with storms and is considered a lightning yokai, with a symbolic role like that of the chimera in Greek mythology. The story around the Nure and Emperor Konoe is among the most popular legends related to this mysterious entity in Japanese folklore. The tale is based on the emperor's unsettling dreams and the brave intervention of a samurai warrior. Emperor Konoe started experiencing a mysterious illness towards the end of the 12th century. On top of his physical ailments, he was constantly plagued by nightmares. During the night, a black cloud hovered over the imperial palace, with its strange sounds and ominous feeling. Many people believed that this cloud was a manifestation of the Nure, which had the ability to bring disease and catastrophe. So serious was Nue's threat that something needed to be done to protect the emperor and the kingdom. Minamoto no Yorimasa, a well-known samurai warrior, took it upon himself to step forward at this critical time. He took up his bow and arrow. When the Nue appeared that night, Yorimasa, applying his skill and accuracy, fired a well-aimed arrow at the creature, mortally wounding it. To prevent the Nue from returning to inflict more damage, the creature's body was thrown into a boat and carried out to sea. The spot where the Nue was defeated is today known as Nuezaka, a small hill in Kyoto, named in remembrance of the event. To reward his bravery and skill, Minamoto no Yorimasa was given a famous sword called Shishio, meaning Sword of the Lion. This legend bears witness to the fearlessness and duty of samurai warriors. The Nue may be seen as a manifestation of human anxiety and fear. It embodies the unknown, that which lies in the shadows and brings misfortune. Nevertheless, like many yokai, the Nue also stands as a reminder of the natural world's complexity and the way in which all things are connected. In these days, the Nue thrives in Japanese popular culture as a representation of ancient folklore. It is frequently depicted in films, anime, and literature, acting both as a creature to be feared and as a symbol of the complex web of stories and traditions that shape Japan's cultural landscape. Hone-Onna was a vengeful spirit in Japanese folklore, seeking revenge on men who harmed her in her life. Her name meant Bone Woman. According to legend, Hone-Onna was a beautiful woman abandoned or betrayed by her husband or lover. Feelings of anger and resentment at her death transformed the spirit into a malevolent force. As a skeletal figure or woman with a putrefying flesh, wearing a white kimono, the Hone-Onna would appear at night, near rivers or dark alleys, attacking innocent men. She would use her charm to fatally lure men, or she would transform herself into a terrifying creature to terrify them. The Hone-Onna had the power to drain the life force from her victims, leaving them weakened or dead. The creature symbolizes the power of female revenge and the dangers of betraying or mistreating women. Originating in the Edo period, Juboko is a mythical tree in Japanese folklore that grew in areas where many people had died, such as battlefields or cemeteries. The tree would have a pale white bark filled with sharp thorns. It fed on the blood of those who had died violent or unjust deaths. According to legend, if someone passed by a Jyakobo tree at night and heard blood dripping, they would have to flee as quickly as possible. It was a sign that the tree had recently fed on human blood. In some versions, the Jyakobo tree could also take the form of a beautiful woman to lure innocent victims. In other tales, Jyakobo could resurrect the dead by feeding them blood. This would be a way for the spirits of the dead to take revenge on the living. The Nure-Onna is a beautiful woman who attracts her victims with her charm and fake distress. But her true form is revealed when she displays her lower body, which is that of a giant serpent. Her upper body is human, with long flowing hair and pale skin, adding to her charm. Seen around bodies of water such as rivers or seas, Nure-Onna draws fishermen or unsuspecting travelers to their deaths by pretending to be in danger or in need of help. As she gets closer, she attacks her victims, pulling them into the water with her snake-like tail and drowning them. The name Nure-Onna can be translated as wet woman, suggesting her close connection with water. Renowned for her crafty tactics to lure victims, Nure-Onna has a range of supernatural powers. Some tales assert that she can paralyze her victims with her gaze, or by breathing in a deadly poison she releases. Some variations of the myth include Nure-Onna with a child whom she uses as bait to lure her victims. When kind-hearted people reach out to help her, she unveils her hideous shape and attacks them without mercy. Gangoji was reportedly a ghost of an Oni demon who haunted the Gangoji temple. Dressed in monk's clothing, he would crawl out to attack children in the temple. According to legend, strange deaths began to occur at Gangoji Temple, and everyone suspected that there was a yokai there. A new temple apprentice wanted to solve the mystery. He waited all night until the monster appeared, Grabbing it by the hair, the apprentice ripped off Gagoji's entire scalp, who still managed to escape. Following the trail of blood left by the yokai, he found the tomb of a rather slothful and evil former temple servant. The servant's ghost had turned into this terrible demon, defeated by the apprentice. Owing to his achievement, he became a priest in the temple, and Gagoji's scalp turned into one of Gangoji's sacred treasures. The ubume is a ghost-like entity in Japanese folklore, representing a woman who died during or shortly after childbirth. Depicted as a tragic figure, stricken with grief at having left her child behind in the mortal world, the ubume appears to its living or traveling family members. It usually seeks to help look after its baby. The ubume are often escorted by a flock of crows and seagulls. They have long, disheveled hair and are dressed in white, Japan's traditional mourning color. Their eyes are sunken and their skin is pale, besides having a cloyingly sweet smell. People will perceive her as a normal-looking woman holding a baby who tries to hand him to someone and then disappears. Once they have the child in their arms, people realize that it is nothing more than a pile of leaves or a large stone. The myth says that the ubume are followed by a loud wailing sound, said to be the cry of their unborn child. If a person adopts the child of an ubume, they are cursed with bad luck. This manifests itself in the form of illness, poverty, or even death. Some ways of avoiding being cursed by an ubume do exist. First, the best thing to do is to steer clear of it and do not accept its child. Another way is to say a prayer or perform a special incantation. Lastly, some believe that one can also appease the ubume by offering it a gift, such as clothes or food. Stories surrounding the ubume often elicit a sense of sadness and empathy, as they depict the struggles and pain women went through during childbirth in ancient times, when medical care was scarce and mortality rates for both the child and the mother were extremely high during the labor. The ubume acts as a reminder of human life's tragedies and mysteries, as well as the complexities and challenges faced by women, particularly in Japan's historical context. Gaki are a group of supernatural beings in Japanese Buddhism known as hungry ghosts. They are haunted spirits of deceased individuals who were corrupted by intense greed, selfishness, and desire during their lives. These spirits are reborn in a realm of suffering and unquenchable hunger. The Gaki have skinny limbs, pouchy bellies, and thin necks, all of which epitomize their eternal hunger and unfulfillment. Their mouths are curiously tiny, preventing them from eating the food they desperately want, adding to their misery. The samsara cycle in Buddhism entails the continuous birth, death, and rebirth process. The 6 realms of rebirth represent distinct states of existence in which beings can be reborn based on their karma and deeds in previous lives. These beings belong to the 6 realms of rebirth in Buddhist cosmology, representing the realm of suffering caused by attachment and desire, the result of negative karma from actions driven by excessive greed, jealousy, and selfishness. The Gaki suffer from endless hunger and thirst, but their desires can never be fulfilled due to their small and inadequate mouths. Buddhist teachings suggest that Gaki can free themselves from this state through compassion, generosity, and positive karma. The Gaki serve as a cautionary reminder in Buddhist philosophy, pointing out the destructive nature of excessive desire and the importance of nurturing spiritual virtues in one's life. Enenras are demons or divine deities of darkness and smoke in Japanese mythology. They lurk in fires, and when they emerge, they appear as a billowing blob of smoke or mist resembling a human. Enenra is smoke personified. A peaceful and inoffensive yokai, the Enenra was seen as a symbol of purity and enlightenment. It could, however, be mischievous or malevolent. It could cause disease or possess the bodies of humans who breathe in its smoke. Modern yokai scholars have suggested that its name sounds like Enma, the Lord of Hell, and Arbiter of the Dead. As hell is a fire and smoke environment, Enenra could be the spirits of the dead rising along the fumes. This is why the Enenra would only ever be visible to someone with a calm and pure heart and mind. Dorotabo is a vindictive yokai ghost. He emerged from the hapless spirit of a former rice field owner. who came back to seek revenge on those who left his rice field in ruins due to neglect and ignorance. The myth goes that Dorotabo would arise from his grave every night as a mud-covered rotting corpse with only one eye and 3 fingers, standing for the 3 chief vices: anger, greed, and ignorance. The ghost then wanders through the bushy fields, bellowing in a mournful voice, "Give me back my rice field." This is a warning for those who neglect their rice fields, telling them that they should be punished if they do not look after them. It would continuously mourn and haunt the rice field, disturbing people until its offender either repented or sold the land to someone who could take proper care of their rice field. Rice is a staple food in Japan, and the Dorotabo is rumored to be a display of anger from those who have worked hard to grow it. A Dorotabo apparition is a warning to those who neglect their rice fields, which have been their life's endeavor. Kasha, the legendary yokai from Japanese folklore, is a cat-like demonic creature with burning red eyes. Its body is covered in flames and dark fur. The Kasha has immense strength and agility. The Kasha is notorious for its unsettling habit of stealing corpses. It prowls at night, peering into funeral processions and cemeteries to snatch the bodies of wicked wrongdoers or those who have committed severe crimes during their lives. It grabs the corpse and hauls it away, soaring through the night with its fiery, spectral aura. The Kasha brings the stolen bodies to the realm of the dead, or straight to hell, where the evildoers face their eternal punishment. Notwithstanding its sinister reputation, the Kasha is regarded as a creature of justice in Japanese folklore. Its deeds are seen as a means of punishing wrongdoers and making sure that they face the consequences of their actions, even in death. Kasha's origins date back to ancient Japan, where the yokai would serve as a warning, stressing the importance of leading a virtuous life. Its mysterious nature and association with death made the Kasha a popular topic. Mikoshi-Nudo is a kind of yokai that appears at night to lonely travelers. It looks like a monk with an unusually long neck that grows taller the more the victim looks at it. If the victim stares at Mikoshi-Nudo's head, its neck grows to the point where it becomes ready to strike. Among the best-known stories about the Mikoshi-Nudo is one that came from the Odo district in Okayama Prefecture. Upon encountering a Mikoshi-Nudo, the person can avoid its attack by focusing their eyes on the creature's feet and avoiding facing it, preventing it from growing. Many ways to avoid being killed by a Mikoshi-Nudo exist. Some say that we can sing specific words to make the Mikoshi-Nudo vanish. Others claim that we can smoke tobacco or estimate the height of the Mikoshi-Nudo to break its spell. The Mikoshi-Nudo is a popular figure in Japanese folklore and reminds us of how dangerous curiosity can be and how important caution is when traveling at night. The Tenome is a yokai from Japanese folklore known for his eerie and disturbing figure. It is a humanoid creature with large eyes in the center of its hands. The legend goes that this is the ghost of a blind man who was robbed and murdered, and, prior to his death, sought to punish his assailant. The creature now wanders in search of revenge, searching for the evildoer with his eyes in his hands. This yokai is known for being tricky and menacing. It roams the streets and remote areas, creeping around in the shadows and frightening unsuspecting passers-by. The Tenome enjoys inflicting fear and panic on the people it finds. This yokai can spring suddenly from its hiding spot, flashing its giant eye in the palm of its hand to terrify those around. It wanders at night, led by the eyes in its hands, and it is rumored that it can smell living human beings. Should it capture a person, it can sap their life energy or even gobble them up. Stories of close encounters with this mysterious one-eyed yokai have been passed down for generations, boosting its reputation as a classic entity in Japanese folklore. Tenome's presence calls the notion that intense, unfulfilled desires can have after-death consequences,